next part was the tans out. So a couple of things. So with our shifting, we're going to be shifting a little bit more where we're not going to do just like the small shifts. Shifting for us is basically a setup of where I'm going to be stepping in to attack. So if I only do a tiny bit or only one move, then I have basically a change in what I'm attempting to do on both sides, that symmetry. So I want to make sure that even if I shift small, I want to make sure that it's the same. And then so for the tans out, so if we're tanning, I'll do the first shift tan. If you're tanning where these are going down, for us, again, my opinion, if I go to tan down, right? Let's say he punches and I tan down. You've knocked his line down. I understand why and the principle of why you would do it towards the chest, why you would knock it downward. You're also trying to go ahead and take away power from him because you're trying to give yourself also a line to attack in. And you're trying to make him feel weaker. You're also trying to set up in case he tries to punch again. Maybe you're trying to set yourself up here, or you knocked him down and he goes from here, and you're just trying to line up and move in with, of course, that next portion of your form, whatever. But for us, let's say he sees the fact that you're dropping down the tan. He fakes. I better have a very powerful punch coming. Because if I train to go down, I'm following with my wrist for us. But I want to follow his spine. So if I'm following with my wrist down, then that means that in my form, I would have to drop it. But my form says punch, my form says tan, my form says fook, my form says mun. Everything's going forward. So if everything's trying to go forward, then I would state that I would want to cut in. So if he's punching, I would want to cut forward and in. He throws to the other side, boom, I want to make sure that I'm going in. If I try to come down, I might also have to be taller than they are. Because what if he's this tall? I would have to lift my arm up higher to try to drop. Now I'm changing my Wingchun based on how tall the person is, because I'm trying to drop. Whereas, even if I'm this tall, boom, I can still try to cover. Now I would do a mun or a bu style, that's just me. But if I'm still trying to use the tan and I'm a shorter individual, I don't want to try to knock it down as much as I want to try to go and eat in. So, again, reasoning. If I go down, down, down for us, again, my opinion, you don't have to agree with it. If I go down and he's a good boxer, he punches, he hits, he's looking, he fakes, and then he hits you with the other side. The minute I go down and he fakes or whatever else, I've got it. Even if I try to punch, for us, two problems. One, my wrist is being the follow. If he fakes, I'm gonna get hit. Second problem, hard for me to recover. If I'm going forward and he fakes that punch, I can still hit because my tan's going forward. He goes here and he fakes and goes around, boom. My hand is still going towards his spine, my intended target, right? I can still change that. But if my tan is going down, I now have to change this to this. That's gonna be a hell of a lot harder for me to follow his spine because I'm going down. Second, when going, if the Wu Sao hand comes back towards the body and this comes out during practice, then I am technically training the same thing as I used to train, 30 years ago, Shotokan and Kenpo. You're pulling back. So you're technically pulling a technique back. Even though you're saying maybe later you're gonna go out, your muscle memory is stupid. This is incredibly smart, but our muscle memory is stupid. It can react faster than this can think though. So we have to make sure that whatever we train it, we are training it properly for whatever we want it to use in a quick reactive situation. So if I train to pull back, then at some point when I go to punch, I might pull back. Or when I go to punch, my brain has said, well, sometimes you told me this, sometimes you said this. So the muscles are gonna do a halfway in between. But if we're constantly practicing to go forward, no matter what the application is, then you're constantly telling the muscles the same thing. So therefore there's no conflicting information that it has to bypass. So kind of like how can I explain it? Okay, give you an example. Let's talk basically with a gi. You're doing anything with a gi. Then the guy has no gi and he's in Florida where I'm at, and he's not wearing a t-shirt, and you get into basically a fight. Well, I can't use any of my gi techniques now. Now I can only use no gi techniques. But my brain might hesitate for a moment if I'm not trained long enough to go ahead and switch that. Does that make sense? So I might go for his wrist, but there's nothing there. But if he's thinking about punching, now I have to try to move because my grip might not be there because he doesn't have the same thing. So we want to try to take away as many things as your brain has to process, or things that might hold you back. Does that make sense? So when he's going, I want to make sure I'm immediately going in. Now I've got openings. Now I've got openings from here because I'm going forward. Second, because I'm also going forward, if he throws, I can go here, I can also go here. So I can now continue with where he's punching and I move in, and now I can go again, I can go again, I can sweep, I can hit. It just depends on what you want to do. But I want to go forward with each of those. And I also want to make sure that I'm fully shifting and involving basically both sides. My chin's got to be down. If we're in a fight and my chin's up here, if you train long enough and well enough, you might still be able to make it work. But I like to keep my chin down. I like to keep my chin down, but everybody's a little bit different. My last teacher was a ranger for the United States military, trained in Muay Thai, trained in Wingchun, the whole bit, and he basically punished me if I didn't have my chin down, let's just put it that way, with punches. Make sense? So that's the concept. Hopefully I didn't offend anybody.